Hey everyone, welcome to Ex-Fundie Diaries. My name is Elly, my pronouns are she, they, and this video is going to be about Dialectical Behavior Therapy, also known as DBT. This book finally came in the mail today. I've been waiting for it. It's called the Dialectical Behavior Therapy Skills Workbook, 2nd edition, Practical DBT Exercises for Learning Mindfulness, Interpersonal Effectiveness, Emotion Regulation, and Distress Tolerance. And it's that last one, distress tolerance, that I am the most interested in because I am having a tough time tolerating my distress. And I'm in distress a lot these days. As probably many of you watching already know, I am going through a separation right now. And as I said in the video where I announced that, I don't feel comfortable going into a lot of details about that whole situation in my life. But what I can say is it is one of the hardest things I have ever done. And I'm in a lot of fucking pain. And I'm having a lot of huge, horrible, unfun emotions that are really strong and that are really constant. You know what I mean? There's not really a break in the onslaught of tough emotions. I will say when I'm at work, at my new job, it is a welcome distraction, but pretty much any time that I'm not working, I have to sit with my feelings. All sorts of stuff is coming up. Fears, insecurities, grief, sadness, all the emotions that I was never taught how to cope with growing up. I'll put a video up in the cards that talks more about this, but I was taught to repress all of my negative emotions, to deny them, and lately I've noticed some people leaving comments calling this toxic positivity. I think that's an excellent way to describe it. Yeah, I feel really ill-equipped to deal with intense and ongoing feelings. I have been having a lot of panic attacks the last few months. And I think part of it is just that when sadness and anxiety and fear starts to really well up inside of me and I start crying and my mind starts racing, I get this panic that I'll always feel this way. And if I always feel this way, then I am bad. Because that's the other thing that comes with the way I was taught about emotions growing up. I got this sense all throughout my life that if I feel bad, that means I am bad. And of course that's not true. And I know that intellectually, but that belief is so deeply ingrained from years and years and years and years of conditioning. So those moments are really, really intense and really scary, and they easily, very easily, turn into a panic attack. So I ordered this book a couple weeks ago. I have been interested in DBT, Dialectical Behavior Therapy, for quite a long time, and I've wanted to actually go to DBT classes. I actually know someone who has done DBT classes and it was really helpful for them. So I really wanted to try that too, but I really don't have the time right now with work and everything else I have going on. So I did a little bit of Googling and I was just like, can I do DBT on my own? Like through a workbook? And the internet said yes. So I just decided to give it a try. And I'm really hopeful that it's going to be able to help me. As I understand it, DBT is meant to be very practical, whereas CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, is really focused on talking through things, especially getting to the root of things in your childhood, traumatic experiences. That has been the main kind of therapy that I have done. It's not the only therapy I've done. I actually have done some EMDR, which stands for eye movement desensitization reprocessing. But I did that for about 6 months in 2017. And I've also done actually a group therapy. I don't know if it would be considered a class. I think it was like a therapeutic group, I guess, that met over the course of 6 weeks, and it was called Healing Childhood Wounds. And I believe that was in 2016 that I went to that, maybe 2015. But I've never done DBT. And to be honest, I'm really desperate for some help in just coping with my emotions right now. So, let's get started, shall we? I'm going to read a little bit from the introduction, an overview of the treatment. A lot of people struggle with overwhelming emotions. It's as if the knob is turned to maximum volume on much of what they feel. When they get angry or sad or scared, it shows up as a big, powerful wave that can sweep them off their feet. I'm really resonating with this. If you've faced overwhelming emotions in your life, you know what we're talking about. There are days when your feelings hit you with the force of a tidal wave. And when that happens, it makes you, understandably, afraid to feel things because you don't want to get swept away by your emotions. The trouble is, the more you try to suppress or put a lid on your emotions, the more overwhelming they can get. What's important to know right now is that trying to stop your feelings doesn't work. I would have to agree from personal experience. And you know, that is one thing that I'm really focused on right now and I feel really strongly about. I do want to process my feelings right now. I don't want to just ignore them or pretend that they're not there. I really want to learn to cope with them. I'm in a time of life right now where I am putting myself first for the first time in my entire life. I'm being selfish for the first time in what I hope is a healthy way. I am 31, almost 32, and for the first time, I really am trying to take responsibility for myself and for my life. You know, I have spent so much of my life caretaking and living for others. That was the role that I had in my family growing up. And even after being out of my parents' household, those patterns don't just disappear. They are an ongoing struggle. And I'm just to a point where it's catching up with me. I'm burnt out from ignoring my own needs and pretending that I don't have any. And so part of taking care of myself is prioritizing my mental health and learning how to better cope with my feelings. There's a fair amount of research to suggest that the likelihood of developing intense, overwhelming emotions may be hardwired from birth, but it can also be greatly affected by trauma or neglect during childhood. Trauma at critical points in our development can literally alter our brain structure in ways that make us more vulnerable to intense negative emotions. However, even if your intense emotions are rooted in genetics or trauma, that doesn't mean the problem can't be overcome. Thousands of people have used the skills you'll learn in this book to achieve better emotional control. They have changed their lives, and you can too. That sentence really got me. Oh, I'm so fragile right now. I really hope that I can make changes in my life that I want to make. And having a better relationship with my emotions is really important to me. The Dialectical Behavior Therapy Skills Workbook is written to make learning easy. The hard part will be making the commitment to do the exercises and put your new skills into practice. Nothing will change by just reading this workbook. The words on these pages will have no impact on your life unless you implement, behaviorally, the new techniques and strategies you will learn here. So now is a good time to think about why you are reading this book and what you want to change. Right here on this page, write down 3 ways you currently react to your emotions that you want to change. In other words, identify 3 things that you do when you're upset or overwhelmed. Things that are unhealthy or damaging that you are committed to replacing with better ways to cope. Okay, I've got a green pen, green for growth. Also, it's my favorite color. Okay, so the 3 things that I wrote down that I do when I'm upset or overwhelmed that I'm committed to replacing with better ways to cope. The first one is put myself down, think mean thoughts, and even say them out loud. I've noticed I've been doing that lately, especially in the midst of a panic attack or sort of right at the beginning of a panic attack. I will just feel so out of control that as I'm sobbing, I'm also saying the mean thoughts out loud to myself. It does make it feel even worse because I think like saying it out loud makes it feel that much more true. Number 2, ask for assurance from others. I guess I could also say validation. I know that, relationships, friendships are important and that it can be healthy to get support. But when it's a compulsion, which it sometimes is for me, where I just feel like I need someone else to tell me that I'm okay, that I'm not a bad person, and I would like to make progress where I guess I have to reach out for assurance and validation less than before. I hope that makes sense because I really don't want it to sound like I'm saying we shouldn't depend on each other and get support and encouragement. I think that there can be a balance, a healthy balance, and I don't feel like I'm to a healthy balance place. I think what I want in place of this is just a little bit more confidence in myself. I would like to be a bit more self-assured and a little more grounded so that when I am feeling really big, really unfun feelings, I don't feel so out of control, like I'm just untethered floating into space where it's cold and empty nothingness, where I'm gonna be stuck forever. That's what I mean. So I hope I explained that well. And then the last thing I put is make negative predictions about the future, meaning that when I am so overwhelmed by my emotions, it's very easy for me to make statements to myself about how this will never change, this will always be this way. I'm gonna read one more section for tonight, and then I'm going to put the book down for the evening. It's called There is Hope, and I already love that title. Life is hard. You already know that. But you are not stuck or helpless in your struggle with your emotions. If you really do the work to implement the skills in this workbook, you can expect that your reactions to feelings will change. That's because, regardless of genetics or early pain, the key skills you'll learn here can affect the outcome of every conflict and every upset, and can literally alter the course of your relationships. There is every reason to hope. All you have to do is turn the page and begin. Then keep working at it. Okay, I'm ready. Let's do it. Let's do it.